Hi, I'm Erin Parks. I'm the founder and director of research and professional development at the Lotus Center for Special Music Education. I'm presenting to you from unceded Mi'kmaq territory in Prince Edward Island, Canada.
I'm Ellen Waterman, and I'm a professor at Carleton University in Ottawa, Canada, and live and work on unceded Algonquin territory.
We're happy to be here today to present to you our project, Expanding the Music Circle, Bridging Distance and Difference Through Improvisation. I'll start by giving a brief background on the Music Circle project. The Music Circle began in 2013 as a collaboration between the National Arts Centre Orchestra and Lotus Centre for Special Music Education, which are both based in Ottawa, Canada. The goal of the Music Circle is to provide adaptive and experiential opportunities for neurodiverse and disabled people to explore the orchestra. Each series featured an orchestral instrument family and included 3 workshops and a culminating concert. And in these workshops and the concert, the participants were able to play, touch, see, and hear the orchestral instruments. The goals in expanding the music circle were to explore the potential for improvisation to enhance the music making experience for participants. This is something that we had been discussing for a long time in the music circle as we recognized the research on the value of improvisation for neurodiverse and disabled populations. And while it had been organically happening in the music circle, we were looking for ways to codify that and more deeply explore how we could do it in a purposeful way. So we wanted to examine the ability of improvisation-based practice to bridge differences in abilities between professional orchestral musicians, professional music educators, and adults with exceptionalities, and as a tool for community building. As we started to get this project underway, we developed a bonus goal of exploring the ways in which music making and community building through music can be achieved in a virtual setting, which was necessitated by the COVID-19 pandemic.
So, the value of using creative improvisation was that it's a flexible and highly adaptable way of making music across boundaries of background, ability, and experience. Creative improvisation is a genre of improvisation that grew up through the 1960s, both in the context of free improvisation in places like Holland and England, and also in the free jazz community in the United States. The idea here is that the music is relatively unstructured and that it can encompass all available sounds. So it's not linked to a particular genre or style. It can use melody and harmony and very, kind of standard musical ways of expression. And it can use soundscape noises, extended techniques on an instrument. It's friendly to all kinds of sounds. The other crucial thing is that creative improvisation doesn't have to be completely open ended. It's often structured through stated rules of engagement to enable coherent ensemble playing. So we could agree, for example, that we were going to improvise for 2 minutes and we were only each going to use 3 sounds. And that could create rules of engagement for us to then react and respond to one another musically. Because of this lack of a leader follower kind of structures, creative improvisation tends to be collaborative and relatively non hierarchical. So, aside from any agreed upon rules in a given piece, players listen respectfully and respond as they choose to in the moment. And, when players jam together over time, their collective vocabulary for ensemble improvisation deepens, just as our conversation deepens if we get to know each other better. But creative improvisation is also very playful, so it's a great way for musicians to meet together for the first time. The methodology we followed for the project is a modified participant action research methodology, also engaging with ethnographic methods. So here, researchers seek to improve the conditions of participants' lives And participants are considered co-researchers in the sense that their musical activities give rise to important insights relevant to producing those improvements. All of our sessions happened on Zoom, and that really shaped the research in many ways. We began with 3 sessions of training before the research proper began, in order to give background to the National Arts Center orchestra musicians and the Lotus Center special music educators, who came to us with very different degrees of experience. A few had jazz experience in high school or had a little bit of improvisation experience, but most of them said that they were coming to this creative improvisation world for the first time. Participants were asked to keep a journal of their experiences and also to provide feedback to us at various stages throughout the project. Erin, Jesse Stewart, and myself then held 16 sessions for clients of Sunshine Inclusion Center, and these are all adults with exceptionalities and a very wide range of bodily experiences. We also invited the participating orchestral and musicians and educators to observe a couple of sessions and provide feedback with us. And we sought feedback from the Sunshine staff as well. We then created an integrated ensemble, 8 sessions in which smaller numbers of Sunshine clients and ACO musicians and Lotus Center teachers formed an ensemble together, maintaining the basic format of the workshops. And then we conducted exit interviews with all of our participants, and we're currently in an analysis phase of the research.
So as we were getting underway with developing the curriculum and the program, there were a few key principles that continued to come up, some from a background of special music education and some through consultation between those of us that were involved that have different backgrounds, but also with Sunshine Inclusion Center. The one key principle that came up was the need for structure, both in the broader lesson plan and within each musical activity. So we did develop a lesson plan that we maintained through every workshop as we went, as we allowed some flexibility within the activities themselves so that it didn't become stagnant. We were also looking for purposeful ways to connect virtually, recognizing that connecting can be sometimes more difficult in a virtual environment than in person. So for example, we incorporated singing the hello and goodbye song to each participant by name, including their names in a variety of activities, and allowing for solos and small ensembles for greater connection. We also took a universal design for learning approach to accommodate the diverse needs and abilities, not only of the Sunshine Center participants themselves, but also of all of the musicians that were there, the orchestra musicians and the special music educators. So we did this, for example, through use of adaptive musical instruments and a variety of musical instruments and ways to engage through body percussion, through movement in any way that was comfortable. And we also importantly consulted with the Sunshine Inclusion Center staff to understand the preferences and the abilities of the participants. And this really informed our UDL approach. So for example, the best length of time for the sessions and the frequency, these decisions were all made in consultation with Sunshine Inclusion Center. So the lesson plan that we ended up with included 5 activities. It was bookended by a hello and goodbye song, when both really just allowed for an individual greeting of each participant and recognition of each and an opportunity for them to engage. We then had a familiar sing song. We used a Disney or other familiar song. We knew that this is something that the participants already did and enjoyed and were comfortable with. And we really wanted to put in something that would be familiar to allow them to feel at ease from the beginning as much as possible, even though a lot of it was new and different. We incorporated a musical stories. This was storytelling with personalized elements and opportunities for improvised music making. And a freeze game, which is exactly how it sounds. There's improvised music making, and then we would have to freeze. We incorporated here as well small groups, duos, and trios. So we will now look at some short clips of a few of these activities. So to start, here is our hello song. You can see in the frames representation of all of the different participants. Lovely sounds so far. Now, how about Jesse? Jesse, are you here?
With my drum. All right.
All right.
Thank
I
you,
think
Kyle.
Kyle is ready. How about Kyle next? Kyle, are you here?
Kyle here with his shaker. Shake it, shake
Great job, Kyle. Now, how about Karen? Karen, are you here?
Yes, I am here with my shiny trumpet. It plays very loud.
Thanks, Karen. So next here you see the freeze game. So this one illustrates an important element, which was the use of the adaptive use musical instrument on the iPad. So you will see Cassie in the bottom right corner is using the OMI. So when she would move her arms dancing in the freeze dance game, then it would also produce sound and she would be part of the musical ensemble in that way.
And this is the one where we're going to be in F major, for those who are following along in that way. That's great, Cassie. F freeze. Great freezing. Okay, how about now?
And our final clip is from our storytelling. So this was a multimodal activity that we included specifically so that there would be something familiar for the participants that they could connect with, something that they had experienced or read about. So it was created with the participants' experience in mind.
Just then, Odessa said, "Hey, listen, I hear some music." It was coming from far away across the park. Listen. You know what it was? It was a brass band playing in the band shell. So everyone said, "Hey, let's go and join them and listen." And Liz and Karen were both there playing. Well, everyone loved hearing that so much that they decided they would applaud, say hooray for the music. It's great to watch those clips. I'm remembering again how much fun this project was, I think, for all of us. We have done some keyword coding through all of our data, and we're discovering a couple of things. One is that uh, we're getting some affirmation of the structure, the design of the research, that some of the emergent themes are mirroring some of the things that were important to us going in. But we're learning a lot of nuance about that and things that we didn't expect at all. We've talked a lot about the importance of structure. Having frames for improvisation like the story and the freeze game really help to build confidence for all participants. And some participants said, I like it best when there are no expectations on me and I can do whatever I want. Other participants said, I really feel most comfortable when I know what I'm supposed to be doing and when. So you have to kind of balance a lot of different levels of comfort, and structure helps free everybody up. The second is that in building community, a lot of factors are involved. Our participants talked a lot about the importance of getting to know each other. They loved it when we used people's names directly in activities, and they wanted to know more about each other's tastes and preferences, and felt that if they had that information, then that would help them to engage in a more relational way. Improvisation was certainly a mixed bag for people in terms of whether they loved doing it or found it a bit challenging. But people really did talk about it as creating a kind of dialogue. So they liked it best when the idea that as we played together more, we really became like a band. And that comment came up a few times. So it really did give a kind of call and response kind of dialogue that put people of all musical abilities on a similar playing field. And then finally, we could say a lot about technology, but we'll just say here that the theme that's emerging is that it really is a mixed blessing. It can improve accessibility in some contexts, but it requires patience and carefully managing expectations. We've structured the last few minutes of our presentation as just a free-form conversation between Erin and I, as we're really discussing the ideas that are fascinating us. And I think one of them is like the big difference between networked and in-person experience in both music making and community building. When you do something online, we discovered that people were very concerned about what they could see. In the Sunshine Inclusion Community Center, sometimes we had several people in a room and it was difficult. You know, you didn't have this kind of real estate with one face per square on a Zoom call. You had several people in a room and you couldn't necessarily get that direct feedback. That was something that people were concerned about. So you really have to project yourself into that space in a different way. And you have to be terribly patient when things go wrong, when the data drops out or somebody falls off the call or freezes. You just have to learn to roll with that. And of course, we've all become much more adept at that in our daily work lives through the pandemic. And Erin, how did that differ for you from the in-person experience of doing the music circle?
Yeah, and what really struck me in the data that came back here was it was the orchestra musicians that were the ones that were really craving that connection more, that were really saying, I wish I could see each of their faces. Whereas the Sunshine Inclusion Center participants seemed quite happy with how that was going. And I think part of that is the musicians really felt like they were used to, all of them had participated in in-person experiences and they were used to that connection. And so they've, I think, found it difficult that they weren't getting that. But it is important to note that while of course there are differences, that the Sunshine participants didn't note that at all. They were quite happy and quite thankful to be part of that. And it didn't occur to them that there was any deficit there.
Yeah. And I think one of the things about that was the way the caregivers behaved, how they kind of developed as improvisers, how they became more and more engaged in the process. And one of the things we realized was we should have incorporated them more from the beginning. As Erin mentioned, we did consult with Megan Babe, especially of Sunshine Inclusion Community Center, in designing the workshops with her clients. But each of those caregivers, each of them has an intimate kind of relationship with their clients. And it was wonderful when we started to talk with them and ask them about, how each person liked to respond. And we felt like we could have given them some improvisational tools as well from the beginning. We could have helped them to understand that they didn't have to move quickly to hand over hand and provide a response from a participant. They could wait and let a participant respond if they wanted to, or choose not to, which is that choice is crucial in improvisation. So if we would do this again, I think we would change that.
Yeah, and importantly there too, I think we noticed that even though we were trying to engage with the participants, they were mostly engaging with their caregiver. And so if we had incorporated that a caregiver as also part of the band, that would maybe create a different type of feeling of community. So right now our work is incorporating these outcomes into the ongoing music circle program.
And we've written a report for the National Arts Center Orchestra, and they will hopefully move forward with it. And I'm afraid that's all the time we have. We've really loved this project and could talk about it for days. Thanks to the our funder, Partnership Engage grant from the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada, and thanks to you all for listening.
Thank you.